What is going on, IF Warriors? It's your boy Edward V, and today we're going to talk about the top 3 biggest intermittent fasting mistakes that you're probably making in 2019. I'm going to quickly touch on them and explain why you should be avoiding it. Let's go ahead and break those down in this video. Stay tuned. Built around routines actually help you stick to each and every one of them. It's individual actions that are separate but complement each other so that you can actually stick to all of those individual actions. For example, if you go to the gym and you do intermittent fasting and you do like a morning run, if you're sticking to all of those routines, it's easier for you to do each and every one of those on a daily basis. 2 psychological studies were done viewing habit formation and how one actually builds a habit and sustains a habit, and I'll have those studies linked below, but it shows that pattern creation and complementary habits around each individual habit actually reinforces each and every one of those and makes it harder for you to break that habit. So if you're trying to create a positive habit, then if you're going to the gym and doing intermittent fasting and doing a morning run and also even doing specific work at a specific time and have all of these patterns in place, breaking one of those, even if you're trying not to break intermittent fasting, can put you in a place where it's harder for you to do your intermittent fasting protocol. Haven't you ever noticed that if you don't do one healthy thing, it makes all the other healthy things more vulnerable for you to break? So for example, if you're working out, mentally you feel good, you're working out, you're doing something that's healthy, that's physical, you like that. That energy and that thought process then goes and shifts over to your diet. You start thinking about, well, I'm gonna stick to this intermittent fasting thing because I'm doing this thing well. And then once you do that, it makes you feel like, oh, I should just keep going to the gym because I'm doing this very well. And then if you do a morning run, it's like, wow, there's so many things that I'm doing. I don't want to stop any one of these things because I like how these things are complemented complementing each other. I'm losing weight because of my intermittent fasting regimen. I'm building muscle because of my workout. I'm improving my cardiovascular health because of my morning run. So breaking one of those things can actually be a detriment to you, to your intermittent fasting protocol, because then it'll make it more vulnerable. It can put more cracks into your intermittent fasting regimen and put you at risk of just quitting your intermittent fasting protocol altogether. And adherence is the most important thing for weight loss. You want to be able to stick to whatever regimen you choose for the rest of your life. So definitely try to make sure that all your complementary routines stay intact as well. Don't just think to yourself, oh, well, you know what? I don't want to go to the gym anymore, or I don't want to work out at home anymore because I'll just do intermittent fasting and that will keep my weight off. Those things are important, and also understanding that when you keep each and every one of those things moving, you enhance the ability to adhere to every single one of them. And finally, we're going to move on to number 3. Now, you're probably asking yourself, what are you talking about obsessing over your start time and end time? You have to understand, as I said in my last point, that adherence is the most important thing. So if, for example, you have something that you have to do at 2 o'clock and you can't eat at 2 o'clock, but that's when your eating window starts, but you have enough time to eat 30 minutes before 2 o'clock, then you can go ahead and eat. There isn't going to be that much of an effect if you eat at 1:30 as opposed to 2 o'clock. Or if you stop eating at 7 o'clock when your eating window is supposed to end at 6. Obsessing so much over those time constraints will make you feel like you're doing something that's harder than it actually is. Using the time frame you selected as a guide, but still giving you the flexibility to deviate slightly by a half an hour, an hour and a half on each side will give you a better opportunity to stick to this regimen for the long term. If you're constantly obsessing over making sure you start exactly at 2 and making sure that you end exactly at 6, you may run the risk of turning the intermittent fasting protocol into a mental burden. Intermittent fasting is already a time window that's restricting you from eating outside of that time window. Try not to create more physical restrictions for yourself. Understand that if you have a 20-hour fast and you fast for 19 hours, that is incredibly beneficial. You can go back to 20 hours the next day, or you could extend your fast if you want to, or you can be as versatile as you like, using the 16-8 for a few days, using 1 meal a day, using 20 hours of fasting, 4 hours of eating on Saturdays and Sundays, and then the 16-8 Monday through Friday. As long as you're able to put in some good fasting hours, then you should be fine. And remember, that metabolic switch over happens from 8 to 12 hours. So as long as you've done some decent amount of time over the 12-hour mark, 14 hours, 15 hours, 16 hours, you'll still be reaping the benefits that come with intermittent fasting. So these are the top 3 biggest mistakes that you're probably making in 2019. I hope this video helps. If you feel that intermittent fasting is way too difficult and you've been doing any of those 3 mistakes, making sure that you eliminate all 3 of those mistakes will definitely assist you in adhering to the intermittent fasting protocol. And I want to go ahead and thank my patrons from my Patreon. I'm going to go ahead and put their names right up here.